Salut YouTube!
Salut YouTube!
Yay! He did the same. I've got Oliver G with me, who is the mastermind behind the Earful Tower podcast and many other things. You're also on YouTube.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, and he's had a few viral videos actually go around. What was the one that you did that was a huge hit? Or was it how to sound like a French person?
It was how to imitate a French person.
How to imitate a French person.
Even if you can't speak French.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear that?
Yeah, give us a sample.
Okay, so you have to imitate a monk.
Okay.
So like, yeah.
Like,
you have to throw in, here's the kicker, this is the important one. Say metro station names. Like, they're words to learn and then you'll sound French. So for example, a good one around here is Barbès, Rochechouart.
Yeah.
Just say that all the time.
Yeah, Champs-Élysées, Bastille, Concorde.
You speak French?
Fluent in French.
It's that simple. And then there were a few other things, but when you mix it all together, and you say this, the French swear word, putain.
Oh yeah.
Which you've talked about on videos
before. Champs-Élysées, putain. Okay. Got it, cool. So I'm gonna link down to your very, very successful podcast, YouTube channel, and that video down below. The reason that I've got you here is because you've just had the most incredible summer and I wanna hear about it and I wanna share this with my audience as well. Because you kind of went all over France. It's like quite the shape of a heart, right?
It was the shape of a heart.
It was the shape of a heart,
if you twist it on the side.
Okay, so a bit of context. So it was for your honeymoon, right? So recently married, congratulations.
Thank you,
Both
too.
of us this year, put a ring on it.
Put a comment below if you got married this year.
Woo! Yeah. So for your honeymoon, you hopped on your iconic little red scooter, hopped on that with your new wife.
Yep.
And drove around the country.
You say it like I'm kidnapping her. It was her idea. But the idea was, because it's a honeymoon, you should do a love heart shape. And I have to stress something that's really crucial, is that little red scooter, the top speed is 50 kilometers an hour or 30 miles an hour, which is really slow. And uphill, I swear to you, uphill, we crossed the Alps, and uphill it was as slow as 10 kilometers an hour, which is 6 miles, I looked it up.
How long did it take you then to do this heart shape?
So it took us, it took 2 months. So the idea is that we would start in Paris, where we live, and then go sort of peeling up towards the northwest, forming a sort of love heart shape down to a point at the bottom near Marseille, and then the same on the other side. And that mean that you tick off all the cool things around the whole country. Like Bordeaux, the Alps, Marseille, Provence, Deauville, Brittany, and then the truth is, in the end, we cut it short because it got cold, but if you flip France on its head, it still kind of looks like a heart.
Aww.
The bottom is in the Alps and the top is like in La Rochelle.
That's fine. I mean, a heart anyway is actually like shaped like this. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about what the differences are then between your home, for the moment, being Paris, and the experiences that you've had all over France. Because there are a couple of cliches about Paris and I'd like to know how true you found them to be or not. So for example, the big cliche is like, Parisians are assholes, so rude, so cold, but the second you get outside of Paris, you're going to be greeted with warmth and openness and friendliness. Did you find this to be the case? Absolutely
true, 100% true.
Yeah?
Yep, and I think you know that as well, having traveled around a little bit in France.
Yeah.
But let's stress something, Parisians are also friendly. I think Parisians are friendly. If you're a tourist watching this and you make the effort, say le bonjour and everything, you'll find that the myths of...
Yeah, they melt pretty quickly.
Yeah. But if you go into a coffee shop and you say, like, hey, give me a coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know...
They're like, excuse me?
You want to get you get the coffee poured over your head.
Yeah.
But it's true, when you leave Paris, you'll find instantaneously that people are exceptionally warm to you. I think there's a few reasons. Like, I think, like for me, doing this honeymoon trip as an Australian with my Swedish wife, when we met people, they were quite interested to hear our story, and sometimes they'd say, oh, you're the first person from Australia we've met. Whereas in Paris, everyone's heard an Australian struggling through French. And so you're not even, you know, they don't care.
So a bit of a novelty.
Exactly.
And
you're a novelty, people are curious about you, and that sort of transforms into friendliness. The French were more, like sometimes they would applaud as we went past.
Aww.
People would wave, once the whole set of firefighters at the Pompiers were all waving and cheering as we went past. Because it was just so stupid, this little red scooter going so slow that people couldn't help but get interested in. But it was great because we got to meet them all.
And that second cliche I had in mind is that, you know, Parisians, there's a big market really around the French fashion and style, and French women being very thin and all of this kind of thing. And you know, the cliche again for the countryside, so to speak, is that people are far more relaxed and they dress how they like and they're kind of, let's say, more normal.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what you said is exactly true, but it's not French women or French men.
Yeah.
It's essentially the Parisians and the city people.
Yeah.
So the biggest cities, maybe it's true in a lot of the countries, but no country really has this same stereotype as Parisian or French women.
It's very uniform, I think, is the thing that shocks people, is that there's such a look. Like in London, people obviously dress different to maybe down in Sussex, I don't know, but I mean, they all look
What have you got against the Sussex?
It's a bit eclectic, right? It's
right.
like everyone's doing their own thing, whereas in Paris, there's like this way.
Sure, sure. But the thing is, as soon as you get outside, when you're in the countryside, you'll realize, and I can say this because I'm not a fashionista, you'll see that those books about French women don't get fat or French people all know how to dress well, absolutely not written about the vast majority, and I mean vast majority of people.
Not to say they're like horrible looking, but they're normal people.
Not at all, but it doesn't go with the stereotype.
Yeah, it's not that cliche.
If you go to a village in the middle of Charente in Western France, and you're expecting that it's going to be anything like the women and men that are
chic and wearing their heels and the guys wearing their jackets and blazers and their scarves.
Not even on a Saturday night, sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I said, I dress comfortably a lot. Comfortable today. But the point is, if you think in your head that the whole country is like that.
Yeah. Nope. Okay, and so it's funny because I've noticed even just by putting these videos out there, that there are a lot of comments around, oh, but your life is in Paris is so different, and there's kind of like this feeling that people are kind of, French people in general don't really like Paris. I noticed in one of your articles you said that you found that people were super proud of their villages and where they're from. So what did that look like?
It's interesting because it's two things. First, how you said that they don't care about Paris so much. That was one of the things that I found really interesting when we were traveling around, because I would have imagined that, because Paris, people watching this video, many of them probably like Paris.
Yeah.
Around the world, everyone likes it. It's in all the movies, it's in all the postcards and books. But around the countryside of France, a lot of people don't care at all for Paris. And I was shocked by it, like shocked. How many times I'd say, so how often do you go to Paris? And they'd say, as little as possible.
Yeah.
Or they'd say,
like, I avoid going to Paris.
It's difficult for us because we chose to live here.
Exactly, and we're quite proud of the city.
Yeah. And I like it a lot. And they'd say, and the best I could get a compliment, it's not that I was traveling around trying to get compliments for Paris, but the best I ever heard was, the monuments are pretty good. I mean, but everyone says there's too many people, and this ties back to what you're saying about this. Exactly, too many people, too expensive, ça bouge. Like there's too much is moving all the time. But it comes back to what you said, and it transforms into this pride. And fair enough, a lot of these villages are so gobsmackingly beautiful, achingly beautiful, that it makes sense that they're so proud of it. But it's a double-barreled thing because they take great pride in their villages too, in a way that you do not find in Paris. I was thinking when I was traveling around, because I worked as a journalist here, I covered a lot of elections and stuff, and when I was traveling around, I was thinking, it doesn't surprise me at all that people in southern France vote and think differently to people in Paris. They're living different worlds. It's a whole different world.
Would it be cheeky of me to ask you your favourite spot?
Not cheeky, I've got a good answer for you.
Oh, okay.
Prettiest town in the country, Annecy.
Yeah.
Or as the French say, Annecy.
Annecy, yeah.
So it's a little alpine town, absolutely beautiful.
Even the prison is gorgeous.
Even the prison is gorgeous.
Like, I wouldn't mind living there.
Yeah. Even the pigeons are charming. It's the most interesting city or village or town, Carcassonne.
Okay, I haven't been there yet.
Put it on your list. Put it in the comments below if you've been.
It still has its walls, right?
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a podcast episode. That's what you can link to. Because I obsessed over it. And I'm not even a history guy, but I walked in there and it's like...
Just like overwhelmed.
Yep.
Yeah.
They say though it's like what Paris used to look like 800 years ago. So you can get a good taste of an old French city. Yeah.
What I'm going to do is also link down below to your honeymoon season, because you documented the entire journey. 20 full episodes. Loads of videos on YouTube, little stuff. Lots of videos, so we can actually come along with you guys for the ride. Basically, I guess, France, you can't go wrong really, can you? Thank you so much for coming. Thanks for having me. Keep up the good work on your channel. Thanks. If you like having interviews and guests like this, please let us know down below. Give the video a thumbs up, and otherwise we'll see you guys in the next video. A bientôt! A bientôt! Bye!